Thing that I've talked about before on social media was the fact that I used to eat in a very, very strict calorie deficit, but I actually ended up gaining more weight and not necessarily having the results that I was looking for. That's not what I focus on now, but that was what I used to be focused on. And I was just working on a presentation to present to physicians on blood sugar balance. And what I was going through in terms of the blood sugar compensatory reaction in your body is exactly why this makes so much sense. Let me explain it. Starting with the blood sugar basics, when you consume a carbohydrate, it's going to break down into something called glucose. When glucose enters the bloodstream, that signals the pancreas to release insulin. Insulin essentially works to help open up the cells so that the glucose can get into the cells to be utilized as energy. When that glucose enters our bloodstream, this is called blood sugar or blood glucose. A lot of people will talk about the fact that you don't want a blood sugar spike after you eat. That's not necessarily true. It is normal if you eat a carbohydrate for your blood sugar to go up. What we are looking for is a more steady and sustained lower spike over a longer period of time rather than a quick spike and a quick drop. When we have a high glucose spike that happens very quickly, which is typically when we're eating carbohydrates by themselves, because carbohydrates are digested and processed so fast, it creates that quick blood glucose spike and that quick blood glucose fall, which then in return leads our body to something called reactive hypoglycemia. So when that blood sugar significantly drops, it then signals the brain, hey, we don't have enough fuel, we don't have enough energy, we need more, which oftentimes leads to cravings for more carbohydrates to get that energy in more quickly. The compensation here leads to you feeling strong biological hunger. This is where learning how to eat rather than how to diet and just be in a caloric deficit actually leads to longer term sustainable health, because when we pair our carbohydrates with protein, fat, and or fiber, that's what helps to extend that energy coming from the carbohydrates and give us that more steady rise. Protein, fat, and fiber slow down the digestion of those carbohydrates. So for example, if you were going to consume something like a donut, if you just ate that by itself, you're probably going to get that quick blood sugar spike and that quick blood sugar fall. In turn, you're probably going to end up craving more carbohydrates. That's not a lack of willpower, it's physiology. It's your body perceiving that it doesn't have enough energy because you had a quick blood sugar spike and a quick blood sugar fall. Now, let's say we pair that donut with something like eggs and berries. We're adding protein and fat in the eggs, and then we're adding berries for some additional fiber. You are going to feel so much more sustained and energized, and you're not going to have that quick spike and that quick fall. So you're not necessarily going to feel that like significant craving or hunger after consuming the donut. This is why you hear so many dietitians talk about the fact that under eating oftentimes ends up backfiring when so many people's reason for under eating or caloric deficits is in order to lose weight.